Good morning and thank you for coming. Today we're going to go over PowerPoint 2007 from intermediate level, level 2. Last time we had the class of PowerPoint, we went over basics, basic presentation, the menus and screens and things like that. Today we're going to go into more options that are more detailed in different areas, such as the toolbar, the interface, customizing some PowerPoint options. We'll look at more on these customizing a design template or a theme. We'll look at diagrams and maybe some multimedia and things like that today. I'm going to go ahead and open up another file here. This sample file. Now, this document I got straight out of the templates under new here. I found it in one of these. I think I found it under the training category for a new presentation. So this just gives us one that we can edit and take a look at as we look at some more options here today. The last time we went over the menus in detail. We went over doing a very basic presentation. Today I'm going to get more details about different items. Starting off with what the quick access toolbar here. We went over this briefly last time. This time we're going to go over some more options in it. So when I click that little drop-down button, the little triangle, to edit this to add items such as email, quick print, print preview, which I showed you last time to turn these on and off. You can also go to here. There's an option for more commands. As you get more advanced in the Office products, you might want to make things a little more quicker for you. For certain commands or options that you use more frequently, we can add additional ones that aren't on this normal list here, this main list, that you use by going up to more commands. It brings up this PowerPoint options window, which gives you access to many other things, but it takes you directly to this customize section to customize the quick access toolbar. So choose commands from and then customize the quick access toolbar here. So this is kind of what we have now, and this is from what we can choose from. There's a lot of things you can add in here and select from. And this has categories as well. Right now it's under the popular commands, from the common things that Microsoft has selected. If I click that drop down, it brings me up a big list for different categories such as chart tools, drawing tools, table, movie and CD tools. So if you want to add audio and you do it very frequently, or video clips and sounds, you can add these to that quick launch toolbar so you have a quick access to them if you use them quite often. There's also a grayscale tab to change your slides to grayscale, and quick access to slide masters, handout masters, quite a few things in here. There's also, you can go to the Office menu for different commands that are available. Emailing, new, open. You can package your presentation to put on a CD. Lots of different options that you can customize that toolbar with. I'm going to go back to the popular commands. So here's something: bring forward and bring to front, customize animation, email, group. So grouping with objects on your screen so you can layer them, put them, group them together, so when you move them, the whole item moves with it. So if you have two pictures together or really close together, you can group those two pictures together and drag it. When you drag one of them, they both move because you grouped them together. And we'll look at things like that later on. I just wanted to show you this. You can add a lot more to that quick access toolbar if you want to. So to do that, you just select one of them and then say add here, and they'll show up on the list. To get rid of one you don't want to use anymore, you just select it, say remove, and it puts it back as well. And you notice it says here under the Customize Quick Access Toolbar, the default is for all documents. You can customize a toolbar that's tailored to a certain document, a certain file. In this case, it's PowerPoint. So if on a certain document that you're working with, you need certain commands only, you can say, okay, put these buttons on there, but only for the presentation I'm working on. You don't have to use that, but it is available. But by default, whatever buttons and commands you add, they will show up pretty much in all documents. It customizes for all your documents that you work with. I'll just go ahead and hit cancel. So once again, that's under quick access and more commands. Now, a couple other things on here you might want to add, since you're doing presentation, is slideshow from the beginning. So this will start your slideshow from the beginning, so you can put that right up here. But you can also move this little quick access toolbar around. So by default, it usually puts it at the top here, which is very convenient, easy to see. But you can also say show below the ribbon. So if I click that, it puts it right here. So it's personal preference. It can go right down here if you want it to. Me personally, I like it the way it was back at the top, so I'm going to go back to where it says show above the ribbon, and I will click that, and it goes back here. If you put it down below, it takes up a little bit more space of your working area. Up here, it's just up in the title bar area, so it's already being used, so it's a great place to put it. But, once again, it's your preference. It's an option, show below or show above that ribbon. Now, another thing you may not know about in Office is when you deal with copying and pasting items. Now, typically you copy and paste, one item at a time. But on your computer and with Microsoft Office, it has this clipboard that may hold more than one item. And if I go here, I'll highlight it for you. Right here, this brings up the all the options for the clipboard. So I'm going to click that right there, and it brings up this. So I have 1 of 24. So as you copy items, so if I go here and say grab some of this and say copy, I can say, oh, maybe I want to move this to a different location later. You can copy multiple items, and by pulling up the full clipboard, you can then paste these as you need to, no matter where you go. So if I go back down here, okay, which one did I need? I could then paste one of these other ones in here, and boom, it pops whatever I had copied into that location. So you can copy multiple things that are on different slides in PowerPoint, and then use them when you get to the slide you need to put them on. So that's all under here. Now, if you're done with them all and you want to clear out that clipboard, there's an option there to clear all. Or if I went down here and did a new slide, like a blank slide, I can then say, click where I want to put it, and then I can say paste all, and then it throws all the text that I copied into where I had clicked. So that's an option as well. But I'm going to undo that and make it go away. Now, since I don't need those no more, I can say clear all, and it clears out that clipboard. So all that goes away out of the memory. Now, this does take up space, and you only need to have it open when you're actually using it. So I'm going to hit the little X over here to close out that little screen. If I need it again, I can always go here and click to bring up that clipboard once again. So that's right over here. Show the Office clipboard task pane. So it's a great tool if you're manipulating a lot of different information or pictures or data. But they're in different locations. You can grab them all by copying them all, and then go to where you need to place them, and then bring up that clipboard, and you can easily access them all, or one at a time, whatever you need. It's a great little tool, great little handy feature that comes in with Microsoft Office Clipboard there. So another thing you might want to do, you might want to customize some of the PowerPoint settings. So to do that, if we look here and click our Office button, we have the new, we have open, save, save as. Go down to this area, you have exit PowerPoint, and we have PowerPoint options. And that'll let us get into this window that we were at before, but a different location. Remember the customize your quick access toolbar? This is the same menu that popped up before, but when we did the customize, it came straight to here. I'm going to go back to the beginning as popular. So this is your whole PowerPoint option. There's things you can adjust here if you choose to. If you're not very advanced, you probably don't want to touch anything except for maybe update your name in here. And this is saved inside the file name as you're the author. So if you create a PowerPoint document or a Word document, it tags your name in it. So, hey, I created that file, 5 years ago. And that's where you can change this right into this PowerPoint option. Now, these are options up here. Show the mini toolbar and selection. Gives you the quick formatting tools, and then live preview. You can also change the color scheme to a few options, and this is the color scheme of the program, like the background colors and things like that. So if I switch it to, say, silver and say OK, it changes the layout, the colors of my Office program. It's kind of silver colors. If I go back, change it to a black, hit OK, that's more visible. You can see the change. My menus are different. They're black background up there. I don't like it, so I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint options and put it back to the standard blue color and put it back there for me. So that's on this popular section here. If you want your Office program in a different language, you can go here to language settings and pick a different language. Just be very careful to select that, because it might be hard to read all the menus if you don't know that language. I'm not going to switch it, but if you would select one of these, hit Add, and select it over there, and then you can do a drop down for your primary editing language down here, and pick and choose which one you want to try out. I'm not going to change this myself. I'm just going to go ahead and hit cancel, but it is there in case you need that or want to use that. The proofing category over here. So this is where you can change some of the autocorrect options. And I don't know if very many of you are familiar with that. So I'll go over this. So change how PowerPoint corrects and formats text as you type. So if you ever notice in some of the Office products, as you type something and hit space or hit enter, it might change what you type to a different word or an abbreviation. This is how it happens, is with this autocorrect. If I go on the side autocorrect, I'll bring up that menu for you so you can see it. And we have some options that are already set by default. correct 2 initial capitals. So if you're typing and you accidentally put, you know, like 2 capital letters in the beginning, it's going to correct that for you. It'll fix it and make that second one lowercase as it should be. And it's going to auto-correct your capitalization for the first sentences, capitalization of the first letter in table cells. It'll capitalize the names of days for you automatically. If you accidentally have caps locks, it'll try to notice that and try to correct that for you. And then the last option, which I used to use very frequently and customize myself, is the replace text as you type. So if you have certain company names or people's names, or like your president of the company, or locations that you use all the time in all your Office products, you can access this in Excel or Word as well. You can customize it and make it do what you want. So if you look through this list down here, it has some common misspelled words. So accidentally typing 2 B's in about, it's going to correct it with the correct spelling. Typos on the keyboard, these are quite often some common ones, and it's going to correct it for you automatically. So you can look through these and find something if you want to change it or modify it. But if you want to customize your own, you can do that yourself. So if I want to, say if I want to shorten up a state, I can say AK, I typed it. It's not currently in the list because it didn't show up in the list below here. And I can replace it with Alaska. So every time I type AK, it's going to automatically update it to the word Alaska for me. So once you put what you want, the replace and then replace with, you say add, it puts it in that list. So now every time I type AK, it is going to throw in the word Alaska. And you can do that for your name as well, your own name. Anything you want. As long as it's not already in here, you can add it. This will shorten up your typing time for common things that you use all the time. So if I say ST, I can make it turn into street and say add. So this will auto-correct it. Now, if that's happening to you in your Office products and you don't want it, or that, you know, someone will use that same computer you're working on and there's some auto-correct options already in there and it's changing things you don't like, you can also go in here and remove them so they don't do that to you anymore. But this is where you would go for that. You'd go to the autocorrect. So maybe I don't want to use this anymore for street because I need the ST for something else. You would just find it in the list down here below and just click that delete button. Once you hit that delete button, it will go away and be deleted from your list. It's no longer there. If I want to find another one, like maybe I don't want to use that AK no more, I can type it over here in the replace section. It finds it down here, and then I can say delete. But I'm going to leave that one in there to show you how it works on my actual slides later on. Another tab here is auto format as you type, and this tells you what it's going to change, and by default all of them are turned on. So if you do double hyphens, it's going to put in a dash. If you make a smiley face, it's going to do this. So if you have an internet with like hyperlinks or network path, it's going to auto make it into hyperlinks. And then there's smart tags, which is not turned on. So PowerPoint can recognize certain types of data in your presentations. For each recognized type, there is actions you can perform with that data, and here are some that are available. But by default, this is not used. I don't think I've really ever used this myself either, but it's something you can check out and learn about if you have the time. What most common people use is this autocorrect here. Very useful tool to make your typing a lot faster for, like I said, states or companies, your names, anything like that, because it could be a whole sentence. You could type a lot of information in here, and it'll fill it out for you. I don't remember exactly how far you can go with that text, but you can try it out. But it does quite a few. Great tool to use when you're typing a lot of information and dealing with the same information over and over again in all the Office products. Just look for autocorrect. I believe when you set it up in here, it works throughout all the Excel, the Word as well. So when you add a word here, it's going to be in Word as well. So I'm going to leave that Alaska in there. I'm going to hit OK and get back to this screen here. So that's under the proofing tools, autocorrect options in PowerPoint. Here are some other ones. When correcting spelling in Microsoft Office programs, it'll ignore words in uppercase, ignore words that contain numbers, ignore internet and file addresses. So it's going to do certain things. And these are all the defaults, so I haven't really changed any of these. One thing that's usually always on too is always going to check your spelling as you type. This is great for all of us. If I go to Save, the next one here, customize how documents are saved. A couple things you might want to adjust here is the auto recover information. And this is, like I said before, when you start working on a document, like presentation, Excel, or Word, you need to save that document at least one time. And once you do that, this auto recovery will work in the background. In case your computer crashes or Office crashes, it'll try to save your document by default every 10 minutes for you so you can recover. Now you can adjust this to every 5 minutes by typing it in or use the up and down arrows if you wish to. You don't need it as often. If you're a little slower typing, so you don't work on it as often, you can increase this or decrease this. But the default is 10 minutes, and it's usually good for most people. Now this doesn't replace saving it yourself every so often as well, but it's a great little feature that comes with Office. Remember, you can always hit save by pressing Control-S on your keyboard, so you have that available quickly with that Control-S, or you can put that up here like I have, that save button at the top on your quick access toolbar. Now the default file location is, show you here, documents, and where it's going to save on the computer, and that depends on who you're logged in as. There's some advanced options. So if you like undo, and you can change how many undos you can do, it's just going to use up more memory on your computer. The standard is 20 undos. Typically I say if you go past 20, you probably just need to not do the undo and just fix it manually. But you can increase it if you want to, or decrease it. You might, after 20 different changes, you might forget what you messed up anyway. But that's an option you can change. That Smart Custom Cut and Paste here, and Show Paste options is here. These are all on default. So when you copy and paste, it's going to give you a little pop-up that gives you some additional options for when you do paste. Another option that's very useful that's also on by default that you may want to increase or decrease is show the number of recent documents. So if you're working in a lot of different files, a lot of different Excel documents, a lot of different Word documents, or PowerPoint in this case, you can adjust this. So when you go to your File menu, it'll show you your files that you recently opened and worked with, so you can grab them quickly and easy instead of looking through them off of your computer. There's many other options, slideshow options, some printing options. Like by default, the high quality is not turned on, because typically in PowerPoint you're giving a presentation on the screen, so you don't really need to always print in high quality for your slides or anything like that. So by default, those are off. And when you're going to print, it's going to print, of course, this document. So there's several options. Typically, you don't have to change any of these except for a few things you might, such as recent documents or the undos. Customize it where it was before, that quick access toolbar. Add-ins, you usually don't have to mess with very much. This is so it's like a third-party add-in, so if you do and have Adobe installed on your computer, and usually there's a little button up in the Office products to change it and convert it to Adobe. These are some that are there. Trust Center, so if you get documents from other people or other locations, you can add it to that Trust Center, and typically you can leave this alone for the most part. And then resources. So check for updates for your Office. If you have problems, try to run diagnostics. Contact Microsoft. If your Office product is not activated, you can activate it here. Go online, or just take a look at the About for Microsoft Office as well. So if you have time, you can look through these on your own. You may not need to change anything. I really don't usually change much at all in here. That's available for you. And that's under, once again, your Start and PowerPoint options. Now, last time too, we went over some design options where you can pick these different themes. And you can customize them, change them, and quickly access them to change the look of your presentation. Now, what if you find one that you really like, you customize some of the items in here, the colors. You might want to use that again and again. Maybe you make one for your company or your business, and you want to keep the same layout and use it over again and over again. So you might want to create your own theme, and you can do that in PowerPoint. Now if I click this drop down for that more, so here we have this presentation, and right here I have a custom. Now I set this up earlier. I saved it and gave it a name of PowerPoint L2. If I click it, and it switches this to this one. So earlier I created a little custom theme. I didn't really change much at all, but I saved it and it's embedded into the system now, so I can select it and use it over and over again. So if I switch to this one, and maybe I want to change the colors or the background myself, and like I said, you want to use it over and over again, you can go here and say Save the Current Theme. Click that, give it a name, and it's by default it's saying it's saved as an Office theme. I will not change the location here so Office can find it. And there's my other one that I did earlier today. I hit Save, and now if I switch to this one, I could go here. Now I have two custom ones, and both have different names. So you can customize your own theme and save it as your own so you can use it over and over again. Great handy little feature if you deal with a lot of presentations. Remember, that's just under themes here. Last time we went basically some basic animation stuff where you can do slide transitions. So if you select these animations are going to happen on for your text or graphics. And over here you can say apply to all, so the same option that you pick is going to apply to every single slide. And here you can adjust the speed, and if you have sounds, you can add sounds. And there's some default ones that come with the product that you can select. So I can add sounds. I can change the speed to slow, medium, or fast of how it comes in. If I start the presentation, it comes in with that animation. And you can hear this. Hopefully you can hear the sound. If not, but it is playing. By default, the advanced slide or how to get to the next slide, you know, it's on the mouse click. Or as you get more advanced and do a lot of presentations, if you can't have someone helping you change the slides, or you're not next to a computer when you're giving a presentation, if you time yourself correctly, you can have the slides change automatically and say maybe after 2 seconds for this slide, or 5 seconds, or 10 seconds, you can change, it'll go to the next slide for you. If I go to slide 2, maybe this will take a little longer, so I can say maybe that's going to be, you know, like 5 minutes or something like that. So this will stay on that slide, and I'll make a change after 5 minutes. So you can start your presentation, give your presentation, and these slides will change automatically for you if you want it to. A lot of people have the laser pointers that are connected to the computers that can switch it to the next slide or previous slide for those who give presentations all the time. But that's an option that you can use to automatically change from slide to slide for you. And I can show you up here. I got that one up. After a few seconds, whatever I set it to, should go to the next slide. And then the other one won't take too long for this 5 minutes, so I'll skip through that. But that's an option you can use if you need to. Now going back to here, is our layout. So don't forget about this layout option with the right click, and the right click can save you a lot of time. But it also is up here too. For me, I like right clicking things because it's quick, it's easy, it's faster than trying to go up to the menu to pick certain items. So just always remember, if you're trying to insert something in your presentation or your other programs, it's just basically under that Insert tab. Changing the formatting is under the Design tab. Now, we're going to go and to this button here, Slide Number. This one here, once selected, will bring up this header and footer option. Currently, I have nothing turned on for this training presentation. But you can have this available for you if you want to show. Whether you need it or not, that's up to you, because you can add slide numbers, so it's automatically going to put the slide numbers on the screen for you. You can see it threw that in down there. Automatically threw that in. So if you're practicing, you can have those slide numbers on your screen. I'm going to go ahead and go back to that menu. For me, I don't think that's necessary. I'm going to take it away. The reason I don't think it's necessary is because, does your audience need to see it? Does your audience care if you're on slide number 1 or slide number 2 or slide number 3? Probably not. But once again, it depends on your situation. So that is optional. You can also add, the date and time, a fixed date and time, or you can add the date and time and have it automatically update for you and change a certain style. So if I pick this one here, say apply to all, it has the current date in there. So once again, that's optional. For me, I don't think that's necessary, but it's a feature that you can use, depending on, of course, what you're presenting about. I'm going to go back to slide number, and I'll turn that off. Now, the footer you might use more often than not. So that can be like your contact information, your company name, or it could be the title of the presentation, a lot of different things. You know, and I added that one down there for PowerPoint, and it's on every slide now. You know, once again, that's optional. You may need that, you may not. You may put your name there, your contact email address, so whatever your presentation about, you have the email there so they can all see it on the screen the whole time and have plenty of time to write it down. A lot of people, though, put contact information, follow-up information on towards the end of the presentation, like the very last slide or something. They can leave your email address up on the screen or contact information. I'm going to get rid of that because I normally don't put those on there. Notes and handouts. Now we're going to the same option here, slide number, but the Notes and Handout tab. So this is when you're actually going to print notes, or if you're printing handouts for people, which nowadays is not as common, but it's still available. So if you print notes and handouts, by default, it's going to put, you know, the date and time. You can change it to automatically update, so when you print it, it's going to have the date of your computer. If you have header and footer, you want to put that in the notes for your handouts, you can. These are all turned on by default, so you can change those if you wanted to. And this is only for your notes and handouts. It's not going to show up on the slide. If you need those are on that slide tab. You can turn them off if you don't care about certain things. So when you print it, those things don't print or even come up. Or you can just leave them as the default. I'm just going to go ahead and hit cancel here and get out of that screen. So that's right here under slide number. You can once again, I hold my mouse on top of these buttons. It tells you a little bit about the options that are available for you. Now, insert object here. That's something we did not touch on before, really. So if I click that, it will show you this insert object menu, and gives you, depending on, of course, what you have available to you, depends on your computer and what you have installed. But you can insert Adobe, images, different kind of image files, and these are new, so creating new items. Or you can create it from a file. You can link it and it says insert the contents of a file as an object into your presentation. So you can activate it using the application that created it. Basically, if you have like an Adobe PDF file or a graphic picture that you don't want on your slide, but you want to do the, what you can do is you can be able to click it, and then it'll actually open that document for you. So if you're linking to Adobe PDF file, like you can have it linked in here, and when you click on it during your presentation, it'll go outside the presentation and open up that external file. So if they create some file, you can hit Browse. And if I select one of these, the link in here, it says enter picture, content presentation, create a shortcut. Okay, and see how it throws it in there. Probably a big document. See what happens. So here is part of the file. So you can link to external files in your presentation. I'm going to go ahead and hit delete and get rid of that. So that's under Object, here under the Insert tab. quite a few options you can use. Pretty much can pull up any file, creates like a hyperlink to that file, and opens it up for you. So here's also where you insert video clips and sound clips. So click here to add music from a CD or to record a sound with a microphone. And this one is, click here, insert an animation or animated clip art. And it can be from clip art or a movie file from your computer. And for PowerPoint, it has to be certain kind of files. If I click that, here are all the options you can use. ASF, AVI, QuickTime Movie, MP4. So you can embed those inside your presentation and play them when you get to a certain slide. I could try to select this one. Wait a second. So it took up the whole screen here. So this is a video file, a very large one, high res, so that's why I took up the whole area. So I'm going to shrink this down. So this is a video clip that's embedded and that I can play during the presentation. So if I go up here, I should be able to click it, and that video has started. I'm going to cancel out, and I can put that somewhere else if the location is bad. But I'm just going to get rid of it. But you can insert movies from file off your computer. They're available. Only certain file types though, so just be aware of that. It has to match these file types that PowerPoint supports. Or you can try a movie from Clip Organizer, and the clip art pops up here and lets you look through those to add from the clip art. Sounds. So here's your options from sounds. We have sounds from file, similar to the movie, or sounds from Clip Organizer. Play a CD audio track. So if you have a CD in the computer and you want to play a certain track when you get to a certain spot, that's available as well. Or, like I said earlier, if you have a microphone, you can record your own certain sounds and use that. So that's how you get sound or movie clips in your presentation. It's all in your insert. So you can make your presentation to be very vivid with animation, sound, video, all included inside your presentation. Now, if you inserted a movie and a sound, like a movie from a file and things like that, that has to be available to PowerPoint when you actually give your presentation. So if you say a movie from a file and select it somewhere on your network or different locations, and you take this presentation on a memory stick or something, and you go somewhere else, if that movie file isn't included or available when you give the presentation, it will not work. So just be aware of that. So always test that out if you do ever add those items in there. Movies and sounds. Don't forget we have illustrations for the photo album, clip art, and so on, like we briefly touched last time. You can do text boxes, header and footer, slide numbers. So I'm going to go down here, slide number 9, the empty one I have. And it already has a slide layout that I'm going to go ahead and use. Now, we haven't really used this before, but click to add text. You can just start typing something here, but what if you want to do a title? And then I want a table, a list of data. Or you want a chart, or a graphic, Or here I can actually pick a media clip or picture from a file or clip art. But I'm going to insert table. Table is kind of like you look at Excel. If you ever open Excel, it's similar. It has columns and rows. So this one, by default, it says 5 columns and 2 rows. So what if I'm going to change this to 10 rows and 5 columns, or I'll just go 4 and 10. And I'll say OK. And that creates a table for me on this screen. So you can use tables for a lot of different things, typically for displaying information, records or contact information, names, addresses, employees. That's just some examples. So typically at the top you have your field name. So I put some field names up there, some headers in there, so you can then fill out the information below. You would tab to go across. And so on. So a table can list out information depending on what you want to display. Now up here is table style, so I can quickly change the look of that list, of that table, to all kinds of options there for you. Now, oops, I don't really need, maybe I only put in 3 rows of word information. And I don't need none of this below here. Too many rows. I added too many rows. So a few ways you can get rid of that. You can right click and say delete rows, and delete the one row that I right clicked on. Or I can select it by left clicking and dragging to that area, right click, delete rows, and get rid of all of it. I just hit undo to bring it all back to show you the other option. So if I right click, you also have delete column. Or maybe I don't want to show this third column. I can right click and say delete column, and it took out the city for me. So now I just have first name, last name, and zip. Or maybe you want an additional column. So I can go here and say insert, and give me the option insert columns to the left, to the right. And that depends on where your cursor is, where your mouse was. So if I say right, it throws it over to the right of where my cursor was. If I do it again at the same spot, insert, and if I say left, it puts it to the left side. So now I have a couple more columns, so I can add more headers and continue my document that way. There. Maybe I just didn't need the city anymore, but I want the address and a zip and maybe a phone number. So that can be adjusted anytime. If I select these, take a look at quick styles. These are more graphical, kind of 3D styles. If I select this, it makes it more artsy looking. And that's under the word art style. I'm just going to highlight what I want to try. Try this one here, reflection, glow. Add a glow to it. So you can make it more presentable than just straight plain old text and your font and font colors. You can pick it, style yourself or from this list. Or you can go to these individual options, change the colors. Change fill, and then the actual text effects that you can choose as well. So those are some options too, more advanced, if you really want to get into it. Those are all available for you when you're editing your styles of your table. Just select the text first. It's easy, just, to do it that way. Left click and drag across where you want to edit, and then you can pick quick style that way. You can do the same thing for your rows. I could select them all, pick a quick style for those as well. And if I don't like it at all, I can go back and click these table styles to fix it, to change it quickly and easily if you make it look really bad like I just did. So that's how you can put in a table. And if you need multiple tables, I just simply right-click and say duplicate slide. So maybe you're giving different information and you need multiple tables. So now I have my original one on slide 9. I have another table example here on slide 10 and the same exact thing on slide 11. So now I can just go to this one, edit the column names by deleting them. I can delete all the text out of there. But the format is the same now. I just would need to type in my headers. And go from there. So that was just a right click and say duplicate. You can do that at any slide. It'll duplicate exactly what's on the slide. So now I have the thing here. Now to get rid of it, you can either select it and say right and do a right click and say delete slide, or if you have that slide selected, you can press delete on your keyboard. Your keyboard does work as well. For me, I typically use the right click, so that's all optional. Now, let's go back to our Office button. And here. So if you created this presentation, you want to email it to somebody, you can go here to do that. Email, send a copy of the presentation as an attachment. Another option is to convert it to like Adobe and email it. A few options in there. If you have a fax thing set up here, you can use that. Prepare. So under the Prepare section, you can restrict the document so no one can really edit it. You can go to the properties, and this is kind of some of what I showed you earlier about your name under the PowerPoint options. Here you can go to the properties of this specific document and change anything in here, like your name, title, subject, keyword, to describe the document, categories of the document, status like completed, final, review, and that's under the document properties. Once you add those or change those, all you got to do is hit the little X in the corner. It automatically updates it, and then once you save it, it's there forever. So that's under Prepare and Properties. Save as. If you have Adobe and things like that installed, you can save it as Adobe or a slideshow or the actual file presentation. So this one is great for mobile, meaning it'll just save the show, so it opens up and runs, basically. You can't really edit it in case you want to give it to someone and make it it's a smaller file. This one is the normal file type where it saves the whole thing for editing and everything. And there's some other formats as well, not as common. This is where you go to print, quick print, and do your preview. Publishing, Not as common as well, but it is available. It can make a package for a CD. If you want to hand out CDs or your presentation to your audience, it'll create the necessary setup for that, so they can burn it to a disk and hand it out during your presentation or after. You can create your handouts in Microsoft Word, so you can edit them, make it more user-friendly. So if you do print out handouts, you can make it look a lot nicer in Microsoft Word than you can in actual PowerPoint. But those are some of the options in there for you to review. And don't forget about the outline. We touched over this last time. Quick way to edit, to see all your text and edit any of it without going from slide to slide directly and editing in the tables and so on. Just by clicking the text here, it'll jump you to those slides, and you can start typing wherever your cursor is available at. Now, if you do have Adobe Acrobat installed, here's some options for that. So you have to have the standard or professional, I believe, to create a PDF, attach it, create a PDF and then attach it to an email, change some of the options. So you may not have that, but on this computer I do. And we went over some view before, view different options of change the way your view is. Take a look at your slide master, your handouts, and so on. Switch it back to a certain view, slide sorter view, so you can easily arrange those from last time. Typically you're working in a normal view though, so you can see your outline, your slides, and your main screen, your notes. Your notes thing you can drag up and down. If you're typing a lot of information, you can make this a lot bigger. So you can type and highlight, with bullets and everything for your own notes if you need that. You can also drag this side as well to make these thumbnails a lot bigger if you don't need the larger slide, so you can see them, or shrink it down to see a lot more slides in your presentation. And once again, if you are doing a lot of presentations, you can go under that slideshow, customize it. This is where you can go to start your slide from the beginning or from your current slide while you're testing, practicing. You can set up a show. I click that for setup show. You can customize how your presentation goes. So you can have, if you put in timers and things of that nature in it, so it's automatic. So if you go to a movie theater, a lot of times they show trivia up on the screen and things like that, and different photos. This is kind of how you can do that too. It'll loop continuously, and with those timers on each slide, say 10 seconds, 20 seconds, it'll go from slide to slide like that, and just loop and continue over and over again until that presentation is actually ended. So that's under that setup slideshow. By default, it's going to show all slides. And like I said, if you have those timings in there, it's going to use them. And if you have that loop, it's going to just keep going and going over and over again for that. Now, more advanced feature, the slide start resolution. It's the size of, the resolution on your computer. By default, it uses whatever the computer resolution is, but if you need your presentation to be a certain size, like this size or this size, it only has a few options, but you can force it to a much lower resolution, but it'll fit on pretty much any computer at this point. Typically, though, you can just leave it like it is, but if you want a smaller size screen, you can adjust this if needed. That's under Setup Show. I typically don't mess with those too much, but if you do have like a kiosk or something that you needed to loop with those timings in there, this is where you can go and change some of those settings.